Alright, you guys want to know how to do this. I've been chopping. There's only a couple things I can think of that are very important at this point, as far as how to do this successfully. And the first one being, the recipe is different for what you're trying to achieve. So when you're making bread and butter pickles, you would soak the cucumber in salt for like hours to pull out moisture, because you need to put the brine back in it, so to speak. So what happens is for the bread and butter, you end up doing the vinegar and the sugar thing, and then that's your liquid. But the salt is there specifically to do it like a little cure, and that is what you need to remember. So I had a measuring cup. Oh yes, right here. First thing first. If you have water that is room temperature, it's going to take longer for the salt to dissolve. If you wanted to warm it up slightly, you could do that. I use filtered water. I bet you $10 there's somebody out there that will say to use rainwater. So here is the secret to the recipe. Step 1. The most important thing you need to know is your salt to water ratio, or your salt to vegetable water ratio, or whatever. But for this specific recipe, we're going to do this. It's going to be 1 tablespoon, and this is a half a tablespoon measuring cup. But it's going to be 1 tablespoon salt, kosher salt, Himalayan salt, not table salt, and not iodized salt. It turns vegetables black. That's no good, because that looks gross. I'm sure it's probably still edible, but for argument's sake. And then here's the other thing. So if you are using salt that has like big chunks in it, right? You want like a heaping tablespoon, because you have to make up for all the space in between the salt chunks. Common sense says if it's a tablespoon of salt per cup of water, then there needs to be an actual physical tablespoon of salt. So I use the small grinded stuff, like the teensy stuff, and I don't level it. See, there's no level there. So half. Here, I'll put it closer. It's just salt water. Half 1. Just whatever I get in there. Half 2, because it's a 2-cup measuring cup, right? So that is going to dry, or dissolve. Sorry, not going to dry. It's going to dissolve. And it's not warm. I didn't pre-warm it, but it will dissolve. Fear not. Alright, so while we're doing that, I'm going to explain the other important thing that you need to know about this situation. It's kind of like the second thing you need to know. And that would be numero 2. So you would hope that your chunks are, for the most part, uniform, mostly. And different thickness of vegetables depend on, like, the content of the vegetables. So, like, for instance, these Armanian cucumbers, I tried to get, like, some of them are bigger, but I have done this 10 times or more. So okay, so first things first. The leaves, what is it? The leaves, the Malabar spinach leaves, they're obviously less than a 1/4 inch thick, right? So I leave them whole, and instead of stacking them like this, because it tends to add, like, air bubbles or gas bubbles can stay, I put them around. So see, like I have it. So that's what I'm going to put in these, is this, and that. Okay, which is dill, and jalapenos from the garden, dill, moringa leaves, onions, And I was gonna do maybe one garlic, but I wanted to chop it, even though everybody says don't chop it because it makes it so strong. But I really like chopped garlic, and I really like strong garlic. So, like, chop it, and there's that 1/4 inch or less that I was talking about for thicker vegetables that matter. So, like, this has a lot of water content in it. Bigger chunks go down in the bottom. I chopped up the dill in the bottom, you see? So that's in there good. And the jalapenos like to float, and the onions like to float. The moringa leaves are going to lose their color. But so, and maybe pack it, you know? Pack it really, really tight. So let's stuff it. And it ain't rocket science. You don't have to worry about it being perfect. If you could find something that looked cool that would maybe hold its shape and its color, like I believe... Oh, so the other thing I wanted to add in here. But if you could get something that holds its color like, you know, like the jalapeno does, you could do a cool design in here if you wanted to, I'm sure. Oh, look at all the turmeric. Powder stuff on the bottom. You could even add this to your brine if you wanted to have it already kind of wet, you know, because it's very maybe clumpy. So you could worry about that, but I'm going to show you how to deal with this so you don't have to worry about. Your biggest enemy are the air bubbles or the gas bubbles not being able to escape. So it's almost done. And it's very easy. So I just measure like the tallness of the minus, because you want it only up to here. Like the canning rules of, oh, and I cut it crooked. Yeah, see, and I don't even want to use that now. Alright. And then there's your thin slices. So the leaves are thinner, obviously, so you can leave those in bigger chunks, like the whole leaf whole. Oh, come on. You have one job. Fit into the jar. Alright, come on. There we go. So it's pretty full, I guess, right? And then, so we're going to jam pack it. Same thickness, but different length, you see. It ain't going to hurt nothing. And you just jam it in there. Oh, maybe I could even stick, see that hole? I'll probably even stick a whole one in there. Or a couple. Just very carefully. Alright. And then you pack it. And so your salt is over here, and you give it a little stir to help it kind of dissolve. And so your onions are, you know, one of those things that come in large pieces. So, you know, there you go again with your 1/4 inch. Onions are good for the top. Okay, so here's the third thing you need to know. When fermenting. This part here needs to always have liquid. So even throughout the process, you're going to lose a little bit of water, I find. So you just add more brine, which is 1 tablespoon of salt for 1 cup of water. Dissolved salt. Right? So if you lose water, if you lose water, that's fine, but you can add more. And if you get little white specks, and lots of bubbles are good, you want all of that, right? So if you're not, but that's kind of like the thing. If you run out of water, you just add more brine. And as you're packing it, you want to keep in mind that the air bubbles have to come out. Maybe that's why they do the uniform chunks. Who knows? So you don't want air bubbles in there, and you wanna kind of cover it a little tiny bit so things don't float up. You don't want to stay in there? Fine. And if you can get away with shoving another onion piece or two, kind of maybe down the side, that would be awesome. Because the onions are so good. They're kind of like the pizzazz of the moment. Alright, that's good enough, especially for demonstration purposes. Doesn't have to be perfect. So your water is dissolving, blah blah blah. You have all your herbs and spices. You have to remember that you cannot let the air bubbles stay inside of the jar. That's like the third rule of importance. So you want to fill it up. Hold this down and kind of, you got to shake all the air bubbles out. I don't know, maybe if that's why some people have problems with the molding. That could be why. Alright, so we're going to do this. Where's my lid? It's kind of like your lid for right now, you don't need anything expensive to do this. You don't need any special doohickey that's shaped like a doohickey. And just make sure that it's full. And, So you, in between, look at, did you see that? Watch. Come on, do it again. Yep, you see all the air bubbles? Air bubbles are no good. So, you have it packed tight. You find yourself a wee bit lid. Put it on. You dizzy? See how pretty that's turning? And that's all you have to do. We did it right now together. Took what? Less than 15 minutes. Maybe a little bit of prep time. I had to walk outside and collect a few herbs and see air bubbles still. So if you need, and it's your first time and you're nervous, shake it up a little bit and open it. See where the water line is? That's good. Give it a little push down. You don't want the things sticking out. So oxygen is your enemy. What you want is this jar to be so busy releasing all of the gas out while it's fermenting that it doesn't have time to let more oxygen in, unless it's like a burp effect where it's going out and coming in at the same time, kind of like when chicks snort when they're laughing, same concept. So you put the lid on, and you could shake this throughout, because the herbs were dry, remember, but you could shake this and see I still have more brine water. I'm going to do another big old batch, but you just let it sit for a while, let it soak, shake it a bit, maybe walk past it in 15 minutes, wonder if you're doing it right. See? But that's your enemy. Some people even put maybe, I did this once with the gallon jug. I put like this much water in the bottom of it because I had so much dill in the bottom, and I'll show you the jar. But I put water in the bottom and just sloshed it around to kind of like push out the air bubbles with a little, what do they call it? Mashed potato thing. And then you could burp it. If you notice that this is like feeling like it's going to explode, you just take it and kind of simply turn it. Simply. So, okay, so you want it closed like that. Like contact. That's the end of it. So then when it gets full, it will be hard to pull off, but you just untwist it and let it burp and then close it. That's it, that's it, that's it. It takes 10 days. And I've never had it fail. And if you ever notice the water level is going down, just add more water. And it's a tablespoon of salt per cup of water. And I use filtered water, and I use sea salt. That's all you have to do. And these cucumbers are huge, so then here's a planting tip. Like the middle part of the cucumber, right? Look, you scrape it out, and you cut it into little pieces right here, like this. You take this chunk outside your garden, and you dig a little hole like that, and you push it in there, and you cover it up, and you wait and see, maybe it'll sprout. And you have new seedlings everywhere. That would be awesome, right? So that's the end of that. No boiling, no special tools, a mason jar. Don't use a metal utensil to jam the air out if you're going to poke air out of, like if you notice you have some spots, use like this is a chopstick. A chopstick would work. Maybe a butter knife if you're very careful and you're familiar with mason jars. So I hope that helps. And that's recipe number 1, just a regular dill cucumber. And you could do that with any vegetable, anywhere. Talk to you later.